Hello and welcome to Who Does Rolls. I am your host Mike B. I'm here. We're here. It's delayed because stuff. How are you, by the way? How's everyone? All right? Hanging in there? Getting through the week? It's nearly December. Whether that's good news or bad news, I don't know. We're nearly there. It's been a rough ride, hasn't it? I hope you're all fine. Look after yourselves. Be nice to your neighbours. Well, some of them. They're drilling early on a Sunday morning. Very annoying. I've distracted myself. So late anyway. It's this cold. I thought I was getting over it at the tail end of last week, and then like Thursday, it kicked the shit out of me again, and I took to the sick bed. So I didn't do games on Friday, and there we go. So I'm getting there. I'm knackered. But I'm alive. I'm functioning. But yeah, man flu. Not to be taken lightly, people. Just saying. You okay? Just saying. But for you, I will soldier onwards. Ever onwards, we shall strive for more mediocre content. Here we go. What have I played? So played is a bit of a job lot, and we'll go into it a little bit more detail because there isn't much else following that, to be honest, with this episode, but we'll dig into it. So 51st State, haven't played that for a while. One I fancy. I like Imperial Settlers. 51st State is kind of like Imperial Settlers 1.2, and there's a little bit more take that in it, but it's a bit more streamlined, and actually playing it again, it's faster, and I like it. I do enjoy it. I've got the Moloch expansion to play with it, which adds an AI villain to the mix. And I was aware when I got out, actually I haven't played it yet, and I need to review that. So we'll do that. But anyway, we played it. Jamie was the aggressive faction. There's four of us playing, the usual Sunday crowd. Jamie just was attacking everyone, just being very naughty. And I'd forgotten there was that element to 51st State. And I remember some people were turned off by it. I quite enjoy it. But yeah, so it changed things, and I didn't quite efficiently use my engine as best I could, but I enjoyed it. And I do want to play that again. And what I'm trying to do at the moment on Sunday nights playing games is either digging up stuff off my pile of shame, which just hasn't been played, or getting this stuff out that I don't play so regularly. And what I'm going to do is try and play them a couple of times over concurrent weeks, just because this is the issue these days. We play a game, and we get it out of the box, we learn it, we play it, and then we don't touch it again for maybe 6 months. And some people do this. I've got more into that regular game of the same game. Something about, if you play that game, that third play of it, that third a week running, whenever you play it, is the sweet spot when it all just coalesces and it's fun. And I get it. Everyone knows the mechanisms, they know the rules. There's none of that. You just play the game. So yeah, I like that. So we're going to do a bit more of that. Anyway, 51st State. Yes, we played that. I want to play the expansions. There's a couple I've got in there, one of which I've not played, I bought, and one of which I've been sent by Portal, which was the Moloch one, which I want to get played. So I will play it again soon, hopefully maybe even this weekend, and we'll give it another pop, and hopefully I can stop Jamie trampling all over us, because he would like this. He'll watch this with his ego and be like, yeah, I did do that. So well done you. Well done. Then we played London, and I can't remember anyway. London, again, on my shelf, a shame actually. I picked it up cheap, it's been going cheap, and I think it's on cheap on Amazon at the moment for about 14 quid. Advice to you, pick it up for that, it's a good deal. Osprey Games, London, Martin Wallace design, it got republished by Osprey in a much shinier, nicer thing, and to be fair, the quality and all that in there is great. It's a card-based game, basically. Have you, building London, kind of. It's, there's 3 sort of decks of cards that are kind of built A, B, and C deck, and you kind of work through them. When you get to the bottom of the deck, is over. It's a weird game of that you're playing cards out into a tableau in front of you, and when you run the engine, which is the cards across the tableau in front of you, when you actually decide you want to run and process that, you will gain stuff off these cards. Most of them are one-time only deals, and they often flip or do other stuff, but they also generates poverty. Cards in your hand, the more cards you're left holding in your hand will generate poverty. And maybe cards in your hand will also generate extra poverty, and you get it from the cards maybe on the tableau and other stuff. And it's just this kind of engine building, but it's this weird one in that and we've only played it once, we need to play it again. This prime example what I'm just talking about is when you choose to run that engine, And it's this kind of knife edge of, okay, well, I need to get more out, but if I run it now, I'm going to take this much poverty. And I need more cards. It's just a heady mix. I love a bit of Martin Wallace. I've really come to appreciate him in the latter years of my gaming time. But yeah, I really do appreciate what he does. And he doesn't often put out a duffer. And this is really good. For 14 quid, which is definitely on Prime at the moment, I'm sure you can look around, you might find it elsewhere. For 4 players, we played it really good. It plays up to 4. Really good. I recommend it. It was fun. I've only played it once, but I really like what it was doing. And for that price, it's a solid bit of game there. And an interesting conundrum to get your head over. The more you play that, you're going to understand what are in those decks of cards, what's coming. And so then you can kind of refine your strategies to point. But it's one that I haven't quite grokked how best to play that. Because there is this interesting of... Ooh, when to hit the go button on that engine, because it's going to have good and bad, and there's more cards come out which kind of also cause this kind of extra effect. So it really is a weird. Do you run it once? Do you run it 4 times? But yeah, and London really good. Themely, it's kind of you building London, but don't worry too much about that. Just this kind of card engine building thing is really cool. It's very good, and for 14 quid. Which I've seen out recently, is a bit of a steal, in my opinion. So I comes recommended for just a one play. I'm going to cough. See, still ill. Then last night, say last night, it was a couple of days ago now, we played Dojo Con from Cool Mini or Not. I'd picked this up a long while ago, and I believe I'm talking years, because I'd seen it really cheap, and I was like, you know what, it's a Cool Mini or Not game. It's reasonable. I'll give that a punt. And then it sat on the shelf, and I got it primarily because it was the theming, which is you running a karate dojo and fighting in karate tournaments and assembling a team, which my wife being a proper ninja, I thought she would appreciate. And then I got it out and kind of studied it and went, oh, there's a lot going on in this. Probably she's not going to be interested. So there it sat. So I dug it out. So I thought, you know what, we're going to give this a blast. So me, Jamie, Tony, Robbie, as per usual, played it on Sunday. First time out, read the book as we went. I really went in cold, which I don't often tend to do. I usually try and kind of grok it before we play it. It did add probably an hour to the play time because there was just understanding the systems. And it at first seemed a bit but then when I actually got into the role of it, it was really good. So yes, 2 tournaments. You essentially have a dojo. It's essentially kind of a worker placement game with a bit of other stuff going on. So you have options on there. Every fighter gives you a worker to place, and you have like the sensei marker, which allows you to go to certain areas to either expand your dojo to get more fighters in, or get more fighters, or other little options of just boosting their abilities. So then the fighters are on there, and they've got different colouring. 4 different abilities essentially you can level up by either training them in them, by buying gym equipment maybe to help you assist you in doing that, and other ways. And then at the end of the fourth turn, there is a tournament, one of the 2 tournaments, whereupon you pop up to 2 of your fighters into the tournament, and they fight off against all the other fighters. If there's not enough of you, there's AI fighters brought in as well. And that's it, kind of. And then the tournament's really well done. It's really weirdly done in that how your blocks and your grabs, the numbers in them. So it's kind of a Euro kung fu game. Will alter each other's attack, essentially. Block and attack gets affected by punches and kicks by that. And it's all done by dice rolls. All of your skills will basically give you certain coloured dice in those skills that you roll. So if you've got red 2, you get 2 red dice, and so on and so forth. You can go up to 3 down in each of these abilities. Probably not explaining this very well. Roll the dice. There is a player aid card which gives you the kind of the faces of each of the dice, and each of them have different symbols that are going to bring up better than other things. And those symbols, as I say, relate to punching, blocking, grabbing, kicking. So depending on how you divest your ability of your fighter into those ones is how well you're going to do in the eventual fight. So the fight comes down, it's knockout tournament, you get to the end, you do that twice and the game's over. Number one, I really enjoyed it. I very much enjoyed it. It's got some really interesting mechanisms going on. Is this Euro-y thing, yet with this Kung Fu theme. Very Street Fighter-y, some of it. There's all the fighters look kind of cool. The illustrations aren't bad. And some of them are definitely nods to things like Street Fighter and other stuff in there. Definite nods to that. just the general idea of it. The one, if I have one criticism of it, it almost is over too short. The two fights and the build up to them, and this is off one play, so I need to play it some more. Really means actually having now finished it and played it, that there's such a tightness of the actions and the economy that you've got to play to optimize what you go into the first tournament with. And I totally didn't play inoptimally when I played. I was just kind of pissing them out with it to work out what would happen. It was really cool. I really enjoy what it's doing. It's a bit of Euro going on there, but it's got these tournaments. They work really well. We were 4 of us, so we didn't have any of the AI stuff coming in, but I could see how that would easily work. But yeah, it's a much tighter engine than it first looks. And definitely one I want to revisit to really kind of get my head around. I don't know if you can get it anymore. I don't know if it's cheap. I don't know if it's reasonable. If it is, because I don't think it was ever a huge big hit for Cool Mini, which is weird because now I'm looking at and playing it. The component quality in there is Cool Mini or not. There's no minis or anything. There's a couple of plastic tokens and stuff. Most of it's cardboard and board stuff. But nice quality, as you would expect. And art's really nice. But yeah, no, totally a real sleeper, in my opinion. It's sat on my bloody shelf for good probably 2 years, I have a strong suspicion. But yeah, I off the one play I say, it does a lot of cool, interesting things. And I need to play it some more, but I definitely at this point, again, another one I would say, if you see it anywhere reasonably, pick it up. Because it's not bad. If you can get it reasonable price, and I'm talking like cheap, then 20, 30, 20, 25 quid or something. You can see it for that. It's a steal. Get it second hand or something, grab it. It's really good fun. Lots of really nice components. Really enjoy it. I don't know. It feels like it's got a bit of legs to it. There's stuff definitely more to revisit in there, and I was pleasantly surprised by that. And I ashamed at myself for having left that on my shelf for so long. That was Dojo Con. Could do with a retheme. Copper Kai coming out. Just saying. And I reckon I can get the missus to play it because it's not as complex as it first appears. Anyway, moving on. Century Spice Road. Last thing, we finished up the evening the other night with that. I enjoy Century Spice Road. It's a very simple engine builder game. Really easy to teach. Great if a little overproduced. And it's great. It's a really easy, simple game. We keep every few weeks we go, we should probably combine some of the games together and try that out. We haven't done it yet. At some point I will. But not today. So that's mostly what I played.
Here is the
news. So there's not a massive amount here. I'll just go skip through it. So Dragon Meat is coming up 4th of December, which is the weekend, not this weekend, the weekend after, I feel. It's coming up in London. I am not going to go. I was really on the fence. I was going to go, then I wasn't going to go. But someone whose name has instantly escaped me the moment I was going to say it. And it's there. I could almost feel it, but it's not there. It's very much. It's annoying. Anyway, so yes, Russ. So Russ is driving out to Dragon Meat and had said the other day he's going out. He's driving up, so I'm going to catch a lift with him because that was the main thing. I was like, how am I going to get there? Oh, it's a pain in the ass. But yeah, so I'm going to go up for it's only a 1 day thing. I'm going to give it a pop. So that's coming up in a couple of weeks' time. The first con I've attended since whenever the last one. I think it may have been Dragon Meat actually 2 years ago. It was the last one I attended. I think it was. I think it's my first one back will be Dragon Meat again. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah. It looks quite. It was quite interesting last time I went, so I'll give it a pop. I'll see, and hopefully they've got fairly good COVID restrictions in place because the dreaded COVID is on the rise again, I believe. So yeah, just be cautious, of course, as always, people. But I just fancy a bit of a ball game convention. So I'll give that a pop, and it's smaller. Meanwhile, Stoneheart Games have put out a European storefront for their stuff. The new plan and the new Tapestry expansion is due 1st of December to pre-order from there, so it'll be on that one. So yes, I mean they used to be able to order from Stoneheart stuff anyway directly, and it was shipped from the UK anyway. So, but they've just made an actual storefront for the UK or Europe now. I don't think there's any radically great prices on it, if I'm honest with you, when I scanned it. But it's there. If they're well that way inclined, then you can become one of the champions and you get lots of stuff. I don't think there's value in it for me because I don't buy a lot of Stoneheart stuff. However, I will probably be picking up the Tapestry expansion because it does look kind of cool. But that's there. That's kind of news. Hero Quest has been arriving. People have been getting their expensive large box of Hero Quest. There was an app for it. I might dig up my old Hero Quest and see if I can just use the app with it and see what it does. But yeah, if that's your thing, it's massively overpriced from what it is. Trust me on this. If you're on the fence on this one, there is much better of those types of games you can pick up the same price. It is not aged well. I played it with the kids. I dug it out a good few years ago when they were about in their 12, 13 maybe, I don't know, that sort of optimum Hero Quest age. Dug it out and they played it and they really enjoyed it. I must be honest, they really did enjoy it. And it was fun doing it. But even then I could see rose-tinted glasses and it was like, it's not that great a game. But it was fun for nostalgia's sake to do that, certainly. And they enjoyed it, and it works that thing. It just feels a little bit that the ultimate market that should be aimed at is that sort of age group of 8, 9, 10 odd children, and yeah, it's priced at hundreds of pounds, and they would enjoy it far more than those people buying it, because I feel a lot of these people buying it and you get it home and go, oh, I used to love this game, playing, go, oh, it's okay. Get the new Descent for about the same price, I think, and that's much better. Just leaving that there. Anyway, there's that. Speaking of nostalgia for slightly now turdier games, they've released an Atmosphere Kickstarter, the 30th anniversary edition of Atmosphere. For 90 odd Australian dollars, I think, is you can get an exact replica of the original Atmosphere game, which I think I've got 3 of them in my loft, and I think I've thrown a couple away. Look, let's be clear. Atmosphere, I loved it when it first came out. I played it as a kid, brilliant, fantastic. It was this amazing, innovative thing. Though I preferred the Star Trek one, if I think is, be honest with you, that was the better VHS board game implementation. And I've rued not owning that to this day. I've seen it carboot a couple of times. I really regret not picking it up. I have got the Star Wars interactive board game, which was okay. The Star Trek one was actually better. Anyway, so you can buy this exactly the same version of all that. Well, let's be honest with you, it's shit. It's not that good, and especially paying $90 for an exact replica of the original 90s version of it. I don't understand. The only thing you won't get is a VHS tape in there because they're putting it as an app or something, or online or whatever. But yeah, trust me, it's not that great a game. We played it, I say we, my colleagues of work some years ago played it one evening. I think I had the DVD version of it or something, I think. And you know what? I definitely probably taken a beer and alcohol past our lips. It was amusing. The only most amusing thing about the evening was a young gentleman who should go unnamed, who was one of my colleagues when I worked at Toys R Us. This was one of the young lads there, and he was a young lad. You have to put into a pot into the middle of the game at the very start as your greatest fear. And at the end of the game, these things get pulled out, and yours gets pulled out. I think you're eliminated, something like that. Now, this gentleman in question, his chit is pulled out the thing, and it says to die a virgin was his greatest fear. And the problem was, everyone else had kind of written flippant, silly things, and he had put this actual heartfelt cry for help in there, and I now feel that's nice shit, that, isn't it? Anyway, that one made us laugh a lot, and then he killed himself. Not really. But yeah, no, and I think since then he's definitely, just saying, I hear these things. Anyway, Atmosphere, going back on track, it's a bit, don't spend $90 on it. Go and, I think they brought out an anniversary-ish edition out last year, the year before last. If you can get it for like 20 quid, maybe pick it up, give it a go, and then go, that is shit. Like, great idea, but yeah, don't spend $90 on it. I would get the Mystic Eye out, but I don't even know where he is. Frankly, he's annoyed me over the last couple of weeks. If he's naughty Mystic Eye, he's all the way over there. Just take it from me, he would have given us some superfluous nonsense and would have been no use to us at all. Right, so there's that. Just very quickly run down some stuff I watched all of Squid Game. I don't know if I mentioned that in the last video. Really good, really enjoyed that. Actually, very good, brilliant, fantastic, Korean, brilliant, very great, really good. Just watch fucking Squid Game, okay? Violent, I will say that. It is incredibly violent. So if you can tolerate the violence, then you will enjoy. Started watching Wheel of Time on Amazon. Frankly, not impressed at the moment. I've never read the Jordan books, but at the moment it feels a bit just like riffing on a lot of Tolkien and other stuff. Not doing anything particularly original. But my biggest issue is, even though they've spent clearly a shit ton of money at this, they've somehow managed to still shoot it and make it look like it's a BBC series. It just looks cheap and flat and no body or no texture to it. If you watch Game of Thrones or any of these epic sort of TV things, they have a bit of character, and there's definitely some cinematography gone on there or something. I don't know. It just feels very... so yeah, at the moment, I'm watching it. It's all right. I mean, you could see the money's there, but for somehow they've still managed to make it look like they didn't spend that money. It looks cheap. And it kind of detaches you. And the acting's not fantastic for some of the younger leads aren't great. And none of them are particularly likeable. And a lot of it just feels an awful lot like a retread of Lord of the Rings. However, but it's definitely not the new Game of Thrones. That's all I will say. But yeah, I will persevere with it, but I'm not blown away. Then I watched Michael Clayton again, because I watched that for a while with George Clooney, because that's a fucking great movie and you should watch it. And then I found my double header of the Medusa Touch with Richard Byrne, and that's paired, I think, with The Boys from Brazil. Two fantastic 70s weird exploitation movies. The Medusa Touch, Richard Byrne, if you've never seen it, it's fucking brilliant. What the fuck is this? He is an author who gets battered over the head at the very start of the movie. And then it's kind of a whodunit as to who did it to him, but then you go into his backstory for his shrink and other things, and you learn that he had this ability, this psychic ability or whatever, that he could cause accidents to happen by just staring at things or thinking about it, and it kind of escalates from there, and it's weird, and it is just weird. But I remember as a kid seeing it, and just it stuck with me. Burton is hamming it up all over the place. He's not in a lot. I suspect there's movies that he came in and did about 3 days' work, because most of the movies spent with him in a coma in a bed, wrapped in bandages, which is clearly not Burton. But at the time, I never was aware of that. But yeah, so I reckon he only filmed 3 days, probably work on the whole movie. But it doesn't matter, because it just works. And when Burton's on screen, he's Richard Burton doing Richard Burton. Oh, big deep voice, more of the wild stuff. That's not Richard Byrne. Yeah, really good. If you've never heard it, never seen it, I picked it up ages ago on a double DVD with something else, and I know they've brought other versions of it out. See if you can track it down and watch it if you've never seen it. It is a 70s, definitely a curio, but yeah, and that kind of Omen type, that feel, that sort of thing, but delivered in an interestingly weird, kind of weird way. But yes, very good. Lovely. That's it. I've whittled on for far too long. Well, that was it, really. There's not much news as we covered. There's all sorts going on. I'm still knackered. I haven't had dinner. I'm going to go and have dinner now, okay? That's all right with you. Have a great week. This will drop hopefully soonish. I haven't caught up with Charlie yet, but he had Cabin Con. I'm sure he's got some stuff to share at some point down the road. I know he's been doing other stuff. He's been busy, as we all have. I've got a week coming work for in a few weeks' time, so maybe I can catch up with some stuff then, because I've got plenty to catch up on. Until then, stay safe out there, be well, all the usual good stuff, and I will see you soon, I promise. Ta-ta, goodbye.